A tragic and shocking death has rocked fans of a beloved child actor and raised urgent questions about hit-and-run violence on city streets. Kianna Underwood, once a rising young star on Nickelodeon, was killed in a hit-and-run collision in Brooklyn, New York. She was just 33 years old. What started as a busy day in one of America's busiest boroughs ended in heartbreak for fans, friends, and family who knew her as a talented performer whose work helped shape a generation of young viewers. Today's story spans fame, joy, and devastating loss, and it is a reminder of how quickly life can change in an instant. But before we begin, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel, because we will continue to bring you updates and more in-depth coverage as new details emerge. If you want real-time information and thoughtful storytelling around major news events, this channel is where it happens. So hit that subscribe button now. Kianna Underwood became known to millions as a child actress on Nickelodeon, where she appeared in a variety of roles that showcased her vibrant personality and natural ability to connect with audiences. For a generation of kids growing up in the early 2000s, her performances weren't just entertainment. They were part of the soundtrack of childhood. She carried that early success into adulthood with grace and passion, continuing to pursue her creative interests and building a life that inspired many who watched her grow up in the spotlight. But in the early hours of a cold January morning in New York City, that life was cut short in the most sudden and violent way imaginable. According to law enforcement officials, Kianna was struck in what has been described as a deadly hit-and-run on a street in Brooklyn. The details authorities have shared paint a terrifying picture. She was hit by two vehicles and dragged along the pavement before the drivers fled the scene, leaving her critically injured. Emergency responders arrived quickly, but despite their efforts, Kianna succumbed to her injuries. The news of her death sent shockwaves through social media, entertainment communities, and among the many fans who remembered her from her Nickelodeon days. Messages of sorrow poured in from around the world, from those who knew her personally and from fans whose lives she touched with her work. Police have since launched a full-scale investigation into the hit-and-run. Detectives are canvassing the area, reviewing surveillance footage from nearby cameras, and appealing to the public for any information that could lead to the identification and arrest of the drivers responsible. Authorities have described these crimes not only as reckless but as deeply offensive to the public's sense of safety, especially given the brutality of fleeing the scene after injuring another human being. Hit-and-run cases are among the most serious and hardest to resolve in urban environments, where traffic moves quickly and witnesses may be limited. But in this case, the level of community impact, heightened by Kianna's profile, has energized investigators, neighbors, and advocacy groups demanding justice. As the investigation continues, one of the central questions remains: how did this happen? Reports indicate that Kianna was walking along the street when she was struck. What remains unclear is what led to her presence at that location at that particular time, whether there was any interaction prior to the impact, and why the drivers chose to flee rather than stop and render aid. When the first responders arrived, the scene was chaotic. Passers-by had attempted to help, and witnesses were shaken. Some overwhelmed with guilt, others frustrated by the sudden violence in a place they considered familiar. But amid the confusion, one thing became tragically clear. A life that had once brought joy to many was now gone, and the city was left to grapple with the aftermath. Brooklyn, like many New York boroughs, is known for its energy, diversity, and bustling street life. But it's also no secret that traffic can be dangerous. Pedestrians, cyclists, and drivers share crowded roads, and accidents, though unfortunate, are not uncommon. What distinguishes this case is not just the severity of the collision, but the callous decision of those involved to leave the scene without helping the woman they had just struck. Hit-and-run enforcement carries severe penalties under New York law, and state prosecutors have indicated that once the suspects are identified, they will pursue full charges, including those that could lead to significant prison time. But before that can happen, investigators need public assistance. Authorities are urging anyone who saw the crash or has relevant video footage, whether from dash cams, nearby businesses, or personal devices, to come forward. As news of this case spread, tributes began pouring in online. Fans shared memories of watching Kianna's shows, recalling how her comedic timing and warmth made her a favorite among Nickelodeon viewers. Many spoke about how seeing her on television shaped their own childhoods, offering moments of laughter and connection during formative years. Beyond her work as an actress, friends and colleagues described Kianna as someone who was deeply passionate about her craft, generous with her time, and grounded despite early fame. Those who knew her in more recent years spoke of her involvement in community theater projects, mentoring young actors, and advocating for causes dear to her heart. Her life, they said, was about creativity, kindness, and lifting others up, qualities abruptly taken from the world in that single, devastating moment. This tragedy has reignited conversations about urban safety, driver accountability, and how communities can better protect pedestrians. For some, it serves as a stark reminder that fame offers no immunity from the random dangers of everyday life. For others, it emphasizes the importance of community vigilance and compassion. As the investigation progresses, law enforcement officials have assured the public that every resource necessary will be brought to bear to find the individuals responsible and hold them accountable. Detectives are working full-time, reviewing video footage frame by frame, interviewing potential witnesses, and tracking down tips. But even as the search for justice continues, there is a grieving process underway, one that extends beyond courtrooms and police investigations. For fans, Kianna's sudden passing is deeply personal. Social media posts remain lined with heartfelt messages, tributes to her talent, and expressions of heartbreak that someone so vibrant could be snatched from life so unexpectedly. And for her family, the loss is incalculable, a pain that no amount of legal justice can truly soothe. They have asked for privacy as they mourn, urging supporters to remember her for the joy she brought to so many rather than the tragedy of her final moments. As we reflect on her life and the circumstances of her death, it becomes clear why this story has resonated so powerfully. Not just because of her celebrity as a former child star, but because it is fundamentally a human tragedy. It is about a life cut short, a community in mourning, and a deep, collective desire to see justice served. If you want updates on this case as more details emerge, including developments from the investigation and any public memorials or statements from Kianna's family and colleagues, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for the latest coverage. Thank you for watching. Stay safe.